listen closely. That's not just paint rolling on a wall. It's artistry. A master painter carefully applying Benjamin Moore Regal Select eggshell with deftly executed strokes. The roller lightly cradled in his hands, applying just the right amount of paint. It's like hearing poetry in motion. Benjamin Moore, see the love.
At Starbucks, we've more than doubled paid parental leave, now up to 18 weeks. Which means Starbucks baristas can spend more time with the best company they know, their families. At Starbucks, benefits like parental leave are just the start.
Right, welcome back to the Survival and Basic Badass Podcast, Kevin and Chuck. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Well, Kevin, today it's going to be the New World Order. Now, you don't hear much about the New World Order anymore. I kind of feel like maybe the people just got old and are like all dying off now, like it didn't really pan out. Or are they doing such a good job hiding and working from behind the curtain that we just don't even realize?
Yeah, or maybe, there's still a lot of organizations out there, doing creepy stuff. So
there are some creepy out there. And maybe they just realized that if they just step back for a minute, we'd just destroy ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That could be, Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, it was funny when I went to research this, like all the videos are like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, somebody said this. There wasn't a lot of new stuff going on. So I kind of thought, we should do a little deep dive, see who's doing what and what's going on. And basically, as always, because we're preppers, what can you do about it so that you don't end up with a world overrun by crazy? Is there even a way to protect yourself? That's kind of where I want to dive into and get into it. But really, what is the threat? So Kevin, what do you even know about the New World Order? What comes to mind? Who are you thinking of?
I'm thinking about, a lot of people talk about the UN. I think that the UN is incompetent and they're not really accomplishing anything. So I don't really think they're the biggest threat. Okay. One of the ones that that come up a lot when we talk about these is the Trilateral Commission.
Yes.
You familiar with them?
I am. 1973, founded by David Rockefeller.
Right.
Stated goal was to foster North American, Europe, and Asia ties.
Right. Like a trilateral, commission, Have you seen their symbol? Like they've got like a little evil symbol, like Cobra from the G.I. Joe cartoon.
I don't know. I'll see if I can pull it up, but go on.
Yeah, no, they've got like just evil vibes, and they're putting them out, just all kinds of creepy stuff. But if you're not rich, you're not involved. You know what I mean? It's not for the poors. This is for rich people, and this is for deciding what happens as far as trade between these three countries. Now they kind of included other stuff.
Yeah.
But it's primarily North America, Europe, and Asia.
Uh-huh.
Asia being Japan, not China and Myanmar and Vietnam, not those countries, just Japan. Yeah.
Japan.
And if you're in South America or Africa, you're not even involved. You know what I mean? Gotcha. But they have been getting NATO or India involved a little bit more lately. So that's a big step up for them.
Exactly. No. So they operate like a private think tank and provide, which I got to say, if a bunch of cool people get together and try and promote their own agenda, Kevin, does that necessarily make it evil? Is that
are they cool people?
They're evil.
Yeah,
they're evil.
Yeah. Go back to eating your bugs and stop talking about them.
So they were created in 73. The World Economic Forum was in 71. It was like the 70s was the time, like when we had the rise of Dr. Evil and, the whole
Right,
thing.
right. Yeah.
That was the highlight of let's think bigger,
Yeah. All those creepy like 1970s Bond villains, that's like they were based on these guys,
Or were the Bond villains the inspiration for these guys? It's a fine line. So Trilateral Commission, have they had much success? Are they shaping things, or is it kind of dying out? Like they don't.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like if you were really working on a new world order, and it seemed like they were Bush Senior. He was really into it, but they all fucked up. They're just all incompetent. They all think they're so smart, but they weren't very smart, and they just fucked up over and over again. They're just failures, just a bunch of failures, just a bunch of narcissistic rich assholes that thought they can rule the world, but then they didn't really realize how incompetent they were.
That hurts, Kevin. But I wonder if you're kind of kind of right. It's because that's how it feels. It's like, well, they built up this big thing. These are the people you think of when you hear the Bilderberg group and like
Right.
that. These are these guys, right? They're all in the same, kind of thing.
Same kind of vein, right?
Right.
World Bank and NATO and
right.
the International Monetary Fund. They're all like
exactly
a bunch of narcissistic
World Economic
plans.
Forum. They all get together and try and like shape countries. But the problem is they're trying to influence the economies, where things go. I think you can get in deeper to like, well, what about specific guys? People get on like Bill Gates, and is he trying to, shape things with his evil, making people sterile and different things, the things, which he might be an evil guy. I feel like there's something there, but
yeah.
I mean, have you ever used Windows? Yeah, you think, it kind of shapes like that. But and then you have the UN. Let's talk about the UN for a minute. So the UN tries. I think one of the biggest complaints we get in modern day from the UN is we pay for everything and do the heavy lifting in America, but we don't have any more clout than other people. But when I say that, do we really not have more clout? Because I feel like America does have a good bit of clout.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the United States really just does whatever it wants to do, whether it's right or wrong.
Now with the latest president,
we just do it. Yeah, and I mean, honestly, like there are massive amounts of genocides going on all over the world right now that nobody's talking about, and the UN isn't doing shit. So.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. And same thing, like you have the World Health Organization. They kind of, I feel like, did we decide, like, we're not allowed to mention anything on YouTube, but did they take part in a big cover up? Like, I feel like there was a bunch of bad things happening around 2019. And they were like, oh, all these bad things are happening. And they were like, no, they're not. We investigated. Shut up. Move along.
We looked into it and we found we have not done anything wrong.
To see here. And that's, and we kind of just go along with that. It just, I don't know. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I think that there's, I think a lot of the stuff that was the New World Order kind of turned into the Great Reset. You know what I mean? A lot of the stuff that we were talking about that the New World Order was trying to accomplish, which was international totalitarian government, right? An international government that runs the world, and just a lot of fucking dumbasses.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That sounds right. Well, I think so if your goal is depopulation, right? Because we got to save the planet for the rich people.
Right.
I mean, That's really what we want.
Yeah, it's really the poors that are doing all the littering.
It's the poors that, the poors have to do work, but it turns out all they had to do was like invent the internet, because then you got like OnlyFans and whatever, and then everybody becomes so self-involved. Well, I say OnlyFans because I mean, like, you have like the whole porn and access to all that, and then you have everybody so isolated and self-involved with social media that you're kind of like, do I really need to go out and procreate, or is that just a pain in the ass?
Yeah,
and it's easier to just hang out and
just being involved with another person is always so complicated.
Yeah,
it's kind of gross and sticky too. You know what I mean? Like,
so you can go your own way and do your own thing. So, all right. As I mentioned, we're preppers, right? We like to prepare for things. So what could you do to avoid tyranny, I would say? Because tyranny is really what you get when these people are trying to control everything, right? They're tyrants, that kind of thing, right? That's how I think the fear was, how people envision it. And so the first thing is, I find that people obey in advance. Like, the government takes like a big liberty and we're just like, oh yeah, that's great. Let's just comply and not say anything. And, that's just good and important. We all want everything to be good and bad things to go away. So if the government says it, then we should just obey. Right. I feel like you got to be a thorn in the side. Like, that's my problem at work, is I'm always like the thorn in the side.
Always the problem.
So I know when they're like ready to fire somebody, they're going to be like, he does work, but that guy's a real pain in my ass. And honestly, managers would rather just have less of a pain in the ass and make their day go easier, right?
Right.
So, I feel like if you're the thorn in the side of government, that might help, right? That's, it's funny. There's a study, I'm sure you've heard it. I think we've actually talked about it, but in 1961, they had this Stanley Milgram at Yale University did a study called the Milgram study. Mm-hmm. And that was the one where they shocked people. And like, it wasn't about people getting shocked. It was about, are you willing to shock people?
Right.
They brought people in. And so everybody getting shocked was like in on the scam.
Right.
And basically the way because the idea was, it was after World War II. And everybody kept saying, how is it possible that everybody just went along with the horrible atrocities?
Right.
We don't get it. Why were so many people willing to do evil?
Right. And they all said they're following orders, but who follows orders that are so messed up?
Exactly.
Turns out
they were like, nobody would do that. That's crazy. So at Yale, they actually took a bunch of students as well as volunteers from the local citizenry. Mm-hmm. And they had them come in. Now, I feel like you're a certain type of person if you're volunteering for college studies.
Right.
You might be a kind of guy like looking for connection and whatever. But anyway, they all got together and they came in and they said, look, here, we have this little clicker. And when you click it, you're going to shock these people. And we want you to do it to see how they react. And that's fine.
And they were like asking questions or something like that. If they got
a wrong answer, right, you'd get a shot. But then they kept like turning up the voltage, right? And now the thing is, these people weren't actually getting shocked. Like, that wasn't the thing. Right. It was studying the people shocking, right? Is what we were looking for. So, because it was kind of a reverse study of what, they thought that the people were being studied out in the in the test area, whereas it was the people testing were the ones being observed. So they would increase the voltage and all of a sudden people were like, ow, that hurts. And they would still like, oh, should I keep going? And the instructor would be like, yeah, keep going. Just don't worry about it. And they'd be like, no, I don't want to be a part of this study anymore. Stop. And nope, just keep going. And they'd keep shocking them to the point some actually did it till it killed the study people, the whatever. So the idea is you need to not just volunteer yourself into evil. You need to give a little resistance. a little feedback and a little, pushback, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah. And just because somebody in a lab coat tells you to do something, man.
Or a politician.
Or a politician.
A policeman.
Don't say it out loud. You got to be quiet about that.
Got to be quiet. What we do is secret. All right. Next thing, I feel like people don't defend institutions. It's kind of until it's too late.
Right.
So one of the big things, like the example that came to mind was one of the newspapers were speaking out against like the Germans and, how bad it was and that kind of thing just before World War II. And there was a large percentage of the population that agreed with them when they go back and ask people what, was going on. However, when the government kind of pushed back, oh, these people are crazy, just ignore them. Nobody was like, no, they're not, it had their back. They just let them hang. And the same thing, like when people go after, when the schools go in and do something that you don't like, there should be a little pushback, right? You should stand up for what you believe and at least express your opinions and state that. When, newspapers get shut down and they're like, oh, that's just horrible, and it's not really justified, you should defend what you believe in. Now, if you don't agree with the newspapers, maybe you believe in free speech and you might want to defend them that way. But, you don't need to defend things that you're not for. But if you're for free speech, even if somebody says something that's a little ugly and you don't like it, no, you don't go out and buy that newspaper and support them. That's how a free market works. But you defend their right to say their own stupid things. That's how you know who the evil people are. Is when you let them talk.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good indication, hearing what people are thinking, because people will tell you. People will tell you all sorts of crazy shit if you just let them talk,
Exactly. And then, once you, and especially if you feed them a little bit, like, it's okay. Keep coming.
Yeah. No, I mean, I argue with people, quite a bit. I mean, it's kind of my hobby, you know what I mean? But, I fully support people that have differing views from me to say whatever they want to say, and that's how you get to the bottom. That's how you find the good ideas,
Yeah. And that's it. When you see other people's perspectives, you can sometimes, I know with, I kind of do, I work with PLCs, which is like programming logic and stuff. Now I hands-on fix a lot of things. I'm not like really a programmer, but that's something I do as part of my job is the programming. And I know one of the guys I work with, me and him, like we went to school together to learn this stuff. And he thinks completely different. And both of us were always racing who could get there first. And we were always like the top of the class of getting, solving a problem. But when you would look at the way he solved it and the way I solved it, they would be night and day, completely different. And we just approached everything. And we were both like, we need to work together because, that's what you want is two different ideas, because that way you find, and then you can decide afterward what the best option is, the best way around something.
Right.
But if you have multiple creatives coming from different ways, if we all think the same and learn the same, it sucks.
Right. You never solve any problems that way, or at least no new problems.
Exactly. So that's something to keep in mind. The next thing that concerns me is truth, right? We are so flooded with information. And so flooded with misinformation that it makes it very hard to figure out what's really true and what's going on. You talk to any conservative and any, left-leaning person and you put them in the same room, they've both seen a completely different set of facts. Now you're going to say, well, Chuck, they weren't facts if they both, if they disagree with each other, they can't both be true. Well, obviously everything is shaped by perspective, reality, and also things are shaped by a little bit of misinformation out there that I hate to say it, is on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if you get information that you don't like, you can just fire that person, turns out,
Eventually, they'll just tell you what you want to hear.
Right.
You can have an army of you.
Keep firing people until you get somebody that says what you want.
I think what you want to do is watch out for a guy whose whole trademark is known as firing people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that might be something to watch out for. But I got to say, when I'm given certain alternatives, though, I'm like, I don't know. Maybe the fire guy is still right. I don't know. Because that's it. You got to have choices and good choices.
Good choices.
And nobody wants to be in that cesspool we call Washington. Although it's cleaning up. They go down the streets and there's no garbage. I've seen videos on the TikTok.
Yeah. They just arrest anybody.
There's no people on the streets and everything. Nope. Look here. Everything's good.
Yeah.
Nobody's been murdered in 7 days. Cleaning it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I saw. I don't know what truth is. Because again, it's the internet. I don't know what's true. Who knows?
It's all made up. We're going to have to go down to Washington and figure this out for ourselves.
Kevin, undercover investigation.
Will you bail me out when I get put in prison?
That's it.
For walking down the street?
That's it. Kevin and I, DC is like a midway meeting point. We could both drive a really long time and get halfway there. So, that works. So do your own investigation. Try and pay attention, but also don't let it consume your mind. I mean, that's the thing is the way to be happy is to enjoy your life and not worry about other shit. So that's, so that leaves me to my next part of stay private.
Right.
If you don't put all your business out there, then you have less issues to worry about. Another thing is,
right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was hiring some people about a year or two ago.
And when you brought up their Facebook page, you were like, nope.
Well, that's the thing. You can just type in their name and bring up all sorts of information about them. How many people they got in their family, the name of their spouse, what they do for a living, what their hobbies are, what they look like. And super easy, super easy to be like, I'm just not going to call this person back.
Right. Oh, when they have that big, flag of something I don't agree with behind them thing. Not hiring that guy.
Yep.
That's.
Oh, you got the Nazi flag up?
Yep. You're a Klan member?
Oh, you got the rainbow flag up? Whatever you want, right. Whatever you like and don't like. And pick it yourself. You can just hate on whoever you want to hate on. Right. That's fine.
You can go left, right, whatever, Yeah. Because obviously all right-leaning people are all Nazis and all left-leaning people are all gay, and that just makes sense.
Yep. It's easy to straighten that out. Straighten that out for you guys if you're ever curious. If Kevin, you're a Democrat, you're gay, and if you're a Republican, you're a Nazi. So there you go. Problem solved.
Now, another problem that we seem to do as a society over and over again is we overreact a little bit. And by that, I mean, when something horrible like 9/11 happens, we all go, oh, we need to go bomb somebody, whether it's the right person or not. We don't care. Let's go. And, you do that, right? Then, oh, we need to pass all kinds of laws limiting, people's rights and what they can do and freedom. And we need the government to give the government full authority to do, listen, tap phones and do whatever they want to anybody they want with no real oversight. And we're all like, yeah, do that.
Yeah. If you're ever hear about your government like passing some sort of legislation that they label like liberation or patriot or anything like that, it means that they're using that to fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's anything that is titled something like that. It's a way to take away freedom.
When it's the Affordable Health Care Act.
Right.
That means your healthcare might soon become even less affordable.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's the kind of thing that happens.
If they say Liberation Day, that means that the military is now showing up on public streets. If they say the Patriot Act, it means that the Bill of Rights is kind of garbage now.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So don't overreact, right? Because people seem to be very quick to give up their rights. And that I find that very concerning. Don't hand it to them, right? Don't say, "Oh, I'm so worried about, secret cabals of rich guys getting together and trying to ruin my life." And then on the flip side, as soon as anything happens, "Oh, save us. Please protect me." That's the whole thing. That's that is the only reason. That is the number one, I guess, reason why I'm a prepper is the more you can take care of yourself and your family, the less dependent you are on somebody else, then, you're the less control they have over you. And that's the way to be free, right? I don't know what you want to do. I mean, you do what you want to do, right? You get to choose your own life. Me personally, I am going to always vote for somebody who's going to let me be in control of more of my stuff. That's always my thing, right? And when you give me two politicians and both want to control me and both want to whatever, it puts me in a quandary. And I have to say, well, this guy's going to take away 90% of my rights, and this guy's going to take away 87% of my rights.
Right.
Then I'm like, well, 87 sounds better than 90. That's looking pretty good.
You can always like do the lesser of two evils, but the lesser of two evils keeps getting worse and worse every year.
Like we're both going to take a little bit of poison.
Right.
And, we'll see what happens. And, see how that works out for us. But, that's always what's happening. But that's why you need to really just learn to take care of your own world. And also, it's nice to be smart and look for insight of ways to make working in your own world better, to keep building up freedoms. If people say, hey, I don't like people eating meat, so we're going to tax meat at a higher level. I'm just making things up, right? This isn't something that happens, but it's something we did with cigarettes and things like that, right? We don't like you guys drinking alcohol, so we're going to tax alcohol. But we might make it legal for you to make your own alcohol at home. Then you find a way to kind of beat the system and get around it. So the same idea would be if we're going to make it harder for you to get meat from the grocery store because we're putting environmental restrictions and things like that, that's an indirect way of taxing it, right? Like you're still slowing it down and like putting government involvement to shape what you want. I guess it's not really taxes. Maybe
realistically,
they're restricting it.
The tax beef, the price is through the roof lately. Have you seen it lately?
Right, crazy. But it's regulations, it's water usage, it's all these things that affect it, so they all come into play. But you're right, absolutely. Beef is like ridiculous. Have you seen? I keep watching. Just came across my like internet feed or whatever about these guys who are going to like Sam's Club and buying the big like quarter. You buy like a roll, I guess, like a chuck roll. And they go back to the butcher and they're like, hey, can I get like $125 chuck roll? And then the guy cuts them into 1-inch steaks and 120, he's getting it for like $6.50 a pound. And he's like, if you look at the steaks, they're $13.99 a pound. And then somebody else was like, yeah, you think you're cool. He's like, now ask the butcher to cut them for you. And you don't even have to take them home and cut them. You could have them cut the whole roll and give it to you. And I'm like, oh, now I'm going to Sam's Club in the morning, but things like that, you got to like find ways to think outside the box and, come up with things. The most, I think, important thing, and this is me, right, is be prepared to die and fight for freedom. Like you maybe don't need to be prepared to die because that doesn't give anybody any benefit, but if you don't stand up for what's right, I see people willing to compromise into slimier and slimier situations to preserve themselves. But make sure your life is worth living is what I'm getting at. Like, don't give up so much that you're like, oh, now I can be a slave.
Right.
That doesn't like you got to be willing to fight a little bit, and get the rights and the things that you're entitled to and the things you deserve.
Yeah, but remember, you don't win by dying for your beliefs, right? You win by making the other person die for their beliefs.
That's even better. Kevin, you were not promoting violence.
I'm not promoting violence. I just know that CEOs keep getting the Mario Brothers treatment, and I don't feel bad about it.
Kevin, you should feel bad. It's not corporations that are evil. They're looking out for you. It's just the government.
Right.
Remember that I said that. I'm just, you got to look out for you. But I don't know. That's, I guess, what I'm saying, though, is we need to learn to protect ourselves. We need to learn these people all have influence. They're shaping, I think they're more shaping things that are putting money in their pocket and shaping things that kind of, a lot of people always think they know better than you, right?
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of them out there. And, I used to believe that when I was like in my teens and
you knew better than
I was like, there's smart people out there. You know what I mean? Like, these are smart people running it. And now I'm like the same age as these people. And I realize they're all fucking retards. They're all as stupid as I am. I'm an idiot. Like, if you voted for me for an office, you'd be a fool. But these people are dumber than I am. And I can't figure out how they just con people into thinking that they're smart. You just have to use big words.
There you go. Big words, and maybe go to college. Like, you don't have to get good grades or anything.
Right. You don't have to learn anything in college. Right. You just have to have the degree.
Right. Whatever bad things are happening in college. I think the big thing is to watch out for people who want to tell you what you should do to make the world better and whatever. And instead of what I should do. And that's the thing. Like, I want to give you tools that you can do what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, in a way, like, we're a information, educational kind of podcast. I mean, it's definitely not the education that people think should be out there, but we want to give you alternative points of view. But it's so you can shape your life. Mm-hmm. I don't want to tell anybody else what to do. I want you to make the life that makes you happy. And I want to give you the tools that you can make yourself happy. Right? If you're like, well, Chuck, I don't even like beer or alcohol, so why would I care about them taxing it? That's good. You don't need to go make beer or alcohol. That's okay. That's good. You get to be you.
Mm-hmm.
You're even healthier,
Yeah.
Maybe you like to smoke the Mary Jane, right? That's what some of you hippies do.
I've heard about hippies like that.
You've heard about hippies? Yeah.
And that stuff, it's like a weed.
It just grows.
It just grows. You just stick it in the ground. It grows there. It's crazy.
Like you do you, maybe I like a good Cuban cigar. Why does it have to be Cuban? Maybe I like communism. I don't know. I get to choose my own destiny. I'm just giving you the tools to do what you want to do, right? I don't know why. Maybe it's the suffering that makes the cigar better.
That makes it taste good. Yeah, it tastes better when it's made with tears.
I don't know what it is, but I don't know. It's a crazy world we live in. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you sticking around. But again, kind of read between the lines and just think about why people are telling you what to do, and say, hey, is this really going to help me? Or is this going to hurt me? Just try and think a little bit of bigger picture. And if it's a big decision that's going to reshape the world, kind of look for the motivation. Just kind of, you can slow things down that way, I think. But anyway, comments, ideas, ways that your life is being affected by the government in a positive or negative way, put it in the comments. We'd love to know about it. Questions, concerns, email us at preppingbadass@gmail.com. Maybe you want to get some cool Survival and Basic Badass podcast gear. Check out shop at survivalandbasicbadasspodcast.com. Otherwise, I'd say stay safe, and we will talk to you guys next week.
New season, new chaos in college football.
Let's go!
Big stage, big opportunity. This Labor Day weekend, the wildness lives on ABC, ESPN, and the all-new ESPN app.
What a way to start!
Featuring top 10 teams like Clemson, Notre Dame, Alabama, and LSU, and Bill Belichick's debut at North Carolina.
It's so special when these teams collide.
Don't miss a lineup filled with electric matchups.
Welcome back to college football.
Kickoff week presented by Modelo. Labor Day weekend on ESPN and ABC. Also available to stream on the all-new ESPN app.